good. We're good at that.
Hello, everyone. We're here. Hey, developed by Kia, by Akia. Hey, Akia. Akia says, hey, finally made it to a live, LOL. Welcome to our lives. Our lives are great. As you all know, we're in here. That means you got to help us out. Let us know if you can hear us. Let us know if you hear an echo. Those are the two things we're going to need to kind of confirm. Hey, Gwendolyn. Hey, Rubel. Hey, Kathy Codes. They all say hello.
Awesome. Hello, everyone.
Okay, so we're assuming that you can hear us, but we want some confirmation. I can see that my mic is working. It says it is. Everything sounds great. Thank you, Kathy Codes. Dorlin, go ahead and speak a little. Let's just make sure.
Okay, I will speak a little so that we can make sure that I don't have an echo and that my volume level is good too. And then see if someone wants to let us know how I sound.
All right, developed
Let's
by
see.
Akia said, I can hear you. I was in the middle of watching the last stream, had to pause and come back so I can participate live. Oh, snap. That's so awesome.
Yay,
Yes, our
welcome.
lives are, I like our lives. It's nice to be able to talk to everyone. For those new, I will be very descriptive in explaining everything that's on the screen because we have a few blind folks who will be watching our streams either live or after the fact. And for most of us, we know that Dorlin is also blind, so she's not able to see what's on the screen. So I'm going to be verbally saying what everyone is saying in the chat so that Dorlin can participate as well. All right, so I'm going to take like 1 minute to do introductions, let other people get in. Today is going to be a shorter stream than usual. I'm going to attempt to keep it under an hour. We might go an hour and a half because me and Dorlin, we just love talking about disability etiquette and we got a lot to say today, okay? So I don't want to like make it too short, but I am going camping today. There is a meteor shower tonight, y'all. I don't know if you know about it, but it's happening tonight, and I'm gonna go camping in the middle of nowhere and watch it with my friends. So I will be leaving to do that directly after this, which is why we will not be doing Anki today. You know, we like our active recall. So as far as active recall, that's just when we pull up Anki and we write questions based off of what we're studying, and then we try to answer those questions together, making our cards together, and then active recalling with what the old stuff on our cards are. We're gonna skip that. On Thursday, we're gonna have probably a much longer stream than usual, unless I'm feeling lazy. We'll see how it is, but we're gonna start. I think we're doing, what is it? Accessible design. I can't remember. I'm pretty sure I'm saying it wrong, but something.
Universal design.
Boom. Thank you, Dorlin. Universal design with Jamil and Dorlin if she wants to come through as well. And that's going to be a longer topic. And we're going to also do Anki like the right way on that Thursday stream. So for anyone coming Thursday, get ready to get going. Today's going to be way more chill, way more conversation based. And we're going to be actually studying together. I don't have a PowerPoint up with all the answers like I usually do. This one, we're going to kind of be talking about it. And we would love everyone else's feedback, and especially anything as far as like if you have any stories that you want to talk about or any experiences that you've gone through when it comes to anything disability related and things like that. All right, so we're going to actually just get right into it. Dorlin has introduced herself way too many times. So I'm assuming that if you're on, what is this? Is this week 3?
I think so.
Yeah. Welcome to week 3,
Yeah.
first of all. Dorlin has introduced herself like 3 times already, but to introduce her very briefly, Dorlin works with me. We're friends. She's blind. She uses a lot of assistive technology. How long have you been blind, Dorlin?
I've been blind almost 10 years now.
10 years worth of stuff that we're going to talk about and what she's experienced. which is helpful because don't do that, whatever we talk about. We're also going to talk about DEC University's course. So they have a course, both Dorlin and I and some other people in our group are taking the course. It's a supplemental for the CPACC that we're studying for, but it also goes over the web accessibility certification. I think that's what it is, right? Web accessibility certification for IAP, which is all the coding stuff. They have some extra information that we didn't go over as far as theories, disability theories. We're gonna lightly touch on that because we found them very interesting. And then what we'll do is, as we're talking about disability etiquette, we're going to be Googling some of the resources that the body of knowledge gave us, and we're going to be going over DEC University's etiquette and statistics because theirs goes hand in hand with the body of knowledge that we're studying, except it gives a little bit more information. So as far as DEC University goes, you do have to pay for those courses. I think it's like $250 or something to get all of their courses. I'm not quite sure the amount of money because we got it for free. If you have a disability, you can sign up and get their courses for free. I think a nice amount of us in this group do have disabilities. In the Discord, if you're curious about or need help with signing up to attempt to get the free course from DEC University, just put it in the chat, in the general chat or anywhere, and I'll send the link just to see if anyone's interested. Because it's a really, really robust, very robust resource, especially when you compare it to the body of knowledge. So if you have any questions about that or what we're about to talk about, obviously put them in the chat. Let us know how you're feeling today. If you have any questions or notice anything about what you're studying, we would love to hear it. All right. So with that said, let's get to it. All right. So I'm going to pull up Circus and Code said, I will need help signing up. Where do I find the Discord info? Circus and Code, you're not in our Discord? What you mean? I'm going to put the Discord link in the chat. Okay. Copy. All right. Let me put my share laptop on and change the screen so it actually makes sense. Mac OS, properties, window, display, bam. All right, here we have the Discord, boom. All right, here's our general chat where we talk, and here you go, Circus and Code. Circus and Code said, this semester has been hectic, but I want to do this during winter break, so I'll be more active after December. That's all good. Lucky for us, all of this stuff is going to be on YouTube for you to go through your leisure. There goes the code for you.
Yep, and these testing dates come up every couple of months.
Yeah, so a big bulk of us will be taking the test in November and signing up November 1st, actually, which is coming up kind of wild. So what we've decided, just because all of us are kind of taking this seriously, is for this whole month, we're just going to do CPACC. And then after November's over, then we're going to get into the coding, the web accessibility engineering stuff. So this is all about CPACC and Anki and just trying to actually get this certification so that we can get that bread and get those credentials and get the respect that we deserve. All right, so here's my PowerPoint with all of these millions of slides. Let's see what we got going on. All right, I want to do, should we do disability demographics or disability etiquette first? I'm gonna let y'all choose. Let me see what the people say first. I know which one I want to do first, but does anyone have a preference? All right, the people are feeling it because that's the one I want to do first too. Kathy Codes, developed by Akia, and Hulda D Codes all said etiquette. Great. That's what we want to talk about. We were actually just talking about it as we got here. I cannot wait to explain to Dorlin these pictures that I found because they're like They're like strangely exactly what we talked about. All right, so disability etiquette, what is it? It's just literally how we should approach and talk to people and interact with them if they have a disability. We were talking before we started about how a lot of this seems obvious, like, you know, common sense, human interaction type stuff. But I think if you think that, then you highly underestimate how many people do not know how to talk to or interact with people with disabilities, especially with people who have like more physical disabilities that are obvious. So with me, you know, you guys know I have my little disabilities, but mine are all silent. So no one's going to know unless I tell them, right? So I don't get any discrimination myself, which is great unless I tell somebody something and they say something slick. But we have Dorlin, who is like visibly disabled. She's walking around with her dog, sometimes with her cane, most of the time with both. And people have a hard time interacting with her. And I've seen it myself when I'm with her or when I'm with my other friends who have disabilities. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. All right. These are some pictures I found on the internet. I thought they did a really good job of explaining things that I've seen and things that Dorlin talked about specifically. It's in this PDF I found online called Disability Etiquette that I will pop up and show y'all. But the first picture is a woman holding a grocery bag and a man who has sunglasses on and a walking stick also holding a grocery bag. The woman asks, "May I help you to cross?" The man says, "No thanks, I'm waiting for my ride." At the bottom, the text says, "Offer assistance, listen for response, and follow any specific directions." So that's exactly what we want to happen and what we would hope would happen. But I'll tell you exactly what happens usually. Usually you just get grabbed, right? Someone just grabs you and like helps you across. And I've like seen this happen in person and it's very awkward. I know blind people who will literally curse you out if you even touch them because they're so sick of being touched. So,
When I was taking like my orientation and mobility training after losing my sight, one of the things they touch you is, I can't remember the name of the maneuver, but it's how you move your hand around, your arm around, like in a twisting motion to break contact if someone grabs your arm. Because it's just so prevalent, just being grabbed by someone, that they literally are teaching you how to break that contact with a stranger.
right. Yes. Yes. That sounds about right. And that's kind of sad
It's
that you have to
nuts.
learn that. One of the stories that I heard, I'm trying to remember where I heard it and who I heard it from, but this woman was talking, she's blind. She was talking about, she's blind and she has a baby, which is, whew, blows people's minds. But she's walking her baby with a stroller at a park, and someone just runs up to her and grabs her and her stroller with the baby and pushes her because they thought that she was going to run into the grass. You can just imagine how just incredibly insane that is, but that happens a lot. Rubel said, "That's scary." Kathy Code said, "Oh my God, yeah." So here's an example of that. And not an example of that, but an example of something else that happens a lot. This happened with me and Dorlin, actually. So there's a person in a wheelchair, and there's a caregiver, I'm guessing, and then another person next to them. So the person who's not the caregiver says, "So Paul will be going to college this fall," and she's talking to the caregiver, and then Paul's just looking like, "Okay." And then Paul says, "I believe I'm Paul and I'm right here." So another really big one that comes up is people not directly talking to the person with the disability, because I can only assume they're assuming that the person with the disability can't understand. I don't know why else, what else reason there would be, but that is a really, really big one. Hey, Sinotech.
Also, you want to be careful not to assume that whoever a person with a disability is with is their caregiver. A lot of times that's going to be just a friend or possibly a family member or, you know, someone they're just hanging out with for the day, a coworker, even like with me in Africa,
Right. And
where
that
people turn to Africa and be like, what does she need? And it's like exactly what that photo is like. Excuse me, I'm the one who needs something and I'm right here.
That's an excellent point. So I literally call this random woman who has her hand around this man and he has his hand around her. And I just noticed that actually. I just noticed that. That's probably his girlfriend. We don't know that. That could be anyone. His friend, his girlfriend, his mom, could be anyone. And my assumption immediately was caregiver. Like, I have my own biases myself. Actually, one of my biases, someone called me out on Twitter about, and I've been thinking about it a lot because I use this word every day. But a word that I say that I really got to stop saying is lame. I say it all the time. Oh my goodness. And they were like, you got to stop saying lame. And I was like, oh my God, I do have to stop saying that. And I still say it like every day. And every time I say it, I cringe. So I'm unlearning things myself. Honestly, like I feel like everyone in the chat should just like put in things that they say that they need to stop saying, because that's like one of my things that I'm working on right now personally.
When it comes to ableist language, it's so pervasive. I catch myself saying things all the time. It's something that we just all have to actively work on, I think. I mean, there's some folks out there who are really great at, knowing it, but there's so many of us who just don't even think about the origins of the phrases that we say and how they have disparaging connotations.
Absolutely. I have to check my bias a lot. I have a lot of them. A lot of my biases and a lot of the things that I say come from the medical model. I talk about that a lot, how like we use words like special needs and just all kinds of words that are very cringeworthy. But really, no one's perfect. Hate to say it. We should be perfect, but we're not. And I think that's okay. I think everyone is out here learning. The world is changing. People are just demanding more respect, demanding that you learn more. And all these are good things. And we need to have some grace with each other. But I'm not going to have grace. You know what I mean? For certain things, I'm just like, stop doing it, please, please. And hopefully, these will be some food for thought for some of us. I'm going to go on to the next slide. Hold a Decode said constantly checking our own biases. Straight up, like that's me all day, especially with words like lame, words like calling everyone guys, they, them, stuff like that. All this stuff, even though that's not disability etiquette, it all ties into like words that we say that have real meaning and hurt people, right? But yeah. Sinotech said, I'm going to have to look into the word lame more. So just to explain the lame thing, lame is another word to explain someone who has no use of their bodies or legs, or may have like a lame leg, like a club foot. They'll say that person has a lame leg. And though that's not how I'm using the word, right? Like I'm not thinking about a person who's literally lame or has something going on with their body. I'm just like, and even when I try to explain it, I'm like, no, that's what I'm saying though, right? Like, and it's kind of messed up. Gonna read some of these. So Gwendolyn said, I constantly check people who speak to me instead of my daughter who uses a wheelchair, who's literally right there. Great point. Wow. I love that you check them immediately. Ali Herrera said, glad we are all out here working on being better people. Yep, Ali, I'm pretty sure Ali's my PT in here, my physical therapist. You know all about that medical model and how we talk to people sometimes is just like, we shouldn't talk to people like this. Kathy Code said, I think I've heard of that usage before. Yeah. Hold a Decode said, I overused guys being from New York, have to stop. I'm not going to hijack this conversation about guys, but in my opinion, and I mean this, I think guys is gender neutral. I've never said guys and meant men. I meant everyone in the room, okay? So for me, I have like a thing about guys where I'm like, I cannot stop saying it, and I truly am not trying to like single only men out. So I'm this is just a mind thing. I need to talk to more people and see if like this is actually hurting them, but I have been told it and it made me want to stop. Circus and Code said the guys one is huge for me. I've been trying to stop that, especially because I live near San Francisco and the LGBTQIA population is huge here. Also, dude. That's another one. Dude is gender neutral. Anyone can be a dude. But like I said, I and also I'm LGBTQ myself. So like, but I'm not a they, right? Like I'm not non-binary. So it's not my place to say like whether or not that's the right word. We're always going to default to the people who are being affected by the word. And if they say it's not okay, all right, cool. It's not okay. I'm going to stop, like, because I have respect. All right. Let me see if I missed anybody else, because I do want to make sure. Agribina said, never knew lame has any other meaning than boring. Yeah. Yep. We're here to learn. We're going to learn a bunch. All right, let's talk about etiquette. Here are some of the things that I wrote down about etiquette that the CPACC wants us to know. These are all going to be things that we don't really have to study after this, I hope, because once you hear them, you hear them. You should talk directly to a person, not to the person accompanying them. Just remember that. You don't know what anyone's cognitive status is. We all remember the story that I tell you all the time about the person struck by lightning who we assumed were brain dead and then started telling us everybody's business that we said in front of them. So that I will never, ever assume that someone is not here with me, and I will always directly speak with them. And if the person is not with me and whoever's with them is like, nah, you can speak to me, then that's where I will speak to them, right? Do not make assumptions about what the person can or cannot do, right? So that's same thing. You never know. You never know. Just because someone cannot speak and cannot move does not mean that their mind cannot think and process what's happening. Since the impact of a specific disability can vary widely from person to person, you should offer assistance only if the person requests it or after you've asked their permission. Never assume that someone needs your help just because it looks like they are not able to do something. If someone has a disability, they probably figured out how to do whatever it is they need to. They just have a modified way of doing it, and you should let them do it. Imagine you're going along your day and someone literally grabs you to help you to do something that you're doing and you were about to do it. You'd be so pissed. It's annoying. Let's not do it. Especially if you see someone in a wheelchair or you see someone blind, just assume that they got it, and if they don't, they will absolutely ask for help. And honestly, I wouldn't even offer assistance. Like me personally, unless someone is like literally struggling, they look like they're about to die or something, like just let people live their lives. What do you think about that, Dorlin?
I think generally, taking a second to assess the situation and the like, is there panic on that person's face?
Right.
Is there like something, and then maybe offering assistance. I've also read something in the last couple of days, in looking about this disability etiquette. It's just like, say, hey, if someone at that point, especially as a blind person, they know someone's there. You say, hi, how you doing? Or, just like a general greeting you might give another person you're passing on a street. At that point, they have the opportunity to engage you further and say, hey, can you help me with whatever it is? Or if you really feel you want to ask, ask, but don't be offended if someone declines your help. And if someone declines your help, don't offer it anyway, and don't like be pushy about it. Oh, no, it's no problem. Let me just do it. If they decline your help, respect what they've said and move on. Just like any other person, or how you would want to be treated. That good old golden rule, right?
Yeah. I think you brought up something interesting that I kind of want to talk about, which is if you're even thinking about, if you're the kind of, let me put it this way. If you're the kind of person who would want to help someone, right? Because I consider myself more of like the person who is going to mind my business no matter what. But if you are that friendly, take a moment to actually talk to the person like a human, right? Just say hi, strike up a conversation the way that you would with anyone else. then you have then you have the right to maybe offer help if, you've already introduced yourself, you're already talking to the person. You're not just talking to them because you believe they need help. I think that is a little bit more genuine. All right, let's talk about a few more of these. Oh, hey, Graham. Graham's in the house. We're talking about etiquette today. All right, so acknowledge the individual's ability to make decisions and judgment on their own behalf. Respect their autonomy. Use language and terminology that places people first. I guess an example of that would be like, don't talk to people as if they are their disability, right? That blind person or etc. Graham said, just treat every single person you meet, disability or not, the same. Simples. It sounds simple. It really does. Avoid referring to people by their disability. All right, so these are all the obvious things, with me and Dorlin sprinkling some extra things in there, right? So I know that this one, they have a bunch of questions. Oops. Did I write the questions down? No, that's the demographics. All right, so now that we've kind of looked at what they said, what we're gonna do is switch some gears, and I'm gonna move my cat. Okay. All right, Graham said, oh, it really isn't, LOL. Honestly, I really struggle when talking with a person who uses an interpreter, as I find it rude to not at least acknowledge the interpreter, LOL. That's actually something so specific and a really good point. Hulda Decode said, people language first. Yes. People first language. Absolutely. The interpreter thing, that one does trip me out. I tend to just look at the person and acknowledge the interpreter, like in the beginning, like, hey, what's up? I'm glad you're doing, I don't know, whatever. But if they're using an interpreter, I'm just going to look at whoever's the disabled person, because the person interpreting is their voice in my head. That's the kind of way I look at it. I feel like
you're having a conversation with that person,
right.
So you look at them, you speak to them, even though it can be hard. I will admit, I've had conversations with an interpreter, and I, as a blind person, am going to look in the direction of the voice, and it was kind of difficult to make sure I didn't move my attention there. But it's just, it's all being cognizant of how best to interact with others.
Right. MMAK2, good morning. First time in chat. Hey, welcome. Yeah. So I think for that specifically, you talk to the person, not the interpreter, because the interpreter knows what they're there for. Ali said, same, introduce to the interpreter, but then just talk to the person and pause to let the interpreter do their role. Yep. So anyone who's had the privilege of speaking through an interpreter, it's kind of like you have to multitask a little bit, but at the end of the day, the interpreter is there for the person. So that's who you're speaking with. Okay, so before we get into disability demographics, I'm going to go over to, oh no, I wanted to show you this PDF. I'm going to put the link in the chat. Let me get to it first. Here it is. Copy and paste. All right, so if you want to follow along, I just put it in the chat. I'm going to pull it up myself and then explain it in meticulous detail so that Dorlin and whoever else knows exactly what's on here. So I have a little extra time. The person who's driving us to go camping said that they're not even going to be at my house till 5. So we don't have to rush through this. I do kind of want to give it a little bit more time than I initially said that I was going to. Okay, so let's go to this little PDF. And then after the PDF, we're going to look at what DEC University says about disability etiquette. Maybe they have something we don't know about. And pretend you don't see this because I'm not supposed to show this on the stream, but not that part, this part. This part I can show on stream. I'm gonna make this bigger. Okay, so this is just something I found Googling, trying to find funny pictures because y'all know I like my memes, but it's by the United Spinal Association, I guess, and it's called Disability Etiquette, Tips on Interacting with People with Disabilities. It is 18 pages, and on the front there's a person in a wheelchair shaking hands with a man standing up next to his wheelchair. I liked this because it had all those pictures. The first one being the one we talked about with Paul, who's going to college. But this one shows what to do. So remember the first one we saw was the woman talking to Paul's, maybe that's Paul's girlfriend. We don't know if that's his caregiver, his girlfriend, his mom, whatever. But she was talking to him first, and he was like, girl, I'm over here. Why are you talking to her? But in this one, she's like, so Paul, will you be going to college this fall? And Paul, now he doesn't have that stink face on his face because he's being talked to the way he needs to be talked to. And he's like, yeah, I figure if I start rolling now, I should get there by September. There's a lot of text on here that I'm not going to read, but will absolutely, I think everyone should read it if they want to. But it's all the stuff we talked about pretty much.
It is a nice, accessible PDF. I actually found that one and read it yesterday. It's funny when you said the name of it. I was like, I think I just read through that yesterday.
Oh wait,
I don't remember.
So one of our collective pet peeves, me and Dorlin, is alt text. I need to know. Do you already know what's on this page?
I'll admit that my screen reader was going at a pretty good clip during it, so I might have missed the alt text, but I was not aware those pictures were on there.
Okay, I wonder if they made these decorative or not. I am very tempted actually to...
You know what? I have it open still. I'll check it. Let's see if I can get over there.
Okay.
But you can keep on going while I check.
Okay, so... Okay, yeah. So you can see the one where she's not talking to him. There was one where I wanted to show it to you. Keep accessible paths of travel clear. Don't ask a person using a wheelchair to hold things for you. Respect their personal space. All right, here goes the one where I was like, all right, so this one is a man. He has his sunglasses on and he has a walking stick. And then, am I using that word right? I feel like it's not called walking stick, but
for a
cane, right?
It's a white cane, specifically. It would be a support cane if someone were using it for support and mobility. A white cane is what people who are blind use to help get around.
Gotcha. All right, so this
and White Cane Day is coming up on October 15th. So everyone look it up and celebrate. Anyway, go on.
Nice. Oh, Hulda Decode said that their resources are super great. She's used them in disability etiquette training in the past. Super helpful. Graham asks, white cane with red tip, so blind and deaf, right? Huh.
Yes, there is a...
Or is that just UK?
No, it's not as well known over here, but there is a mechanism. I think he's right with the red, or there's a striped pattern, I want to say. I'd have to look it up to know for sure, but there are different things that would signify to someone that someone's deaf, blind, not just blind.
Right. Okay, that's interesting. I actually didn't know that one. I feel like that is something that I should know. I'm kind of embarrassed for not knowing it. But let me finish explaining. So there's this guy. It appears he has the deaf blind cane with the red tip. He's walking. There's a woman. She's grabbing his hand and his cane and saying, how about we get you on your little way? And he says, hey, wait a second. Yeah, obviously don't do that. I feel like, we say obviously don't do that, but I've seen this happen. And I think it's like people they panic or something, and their body goes on overdrive and just takes over. I don't know. Something happens in this scenario. But a better way would be, and this is specific to people who are blind, you don't want to grab them, you want to offer like an elbow or something rather than grab. So in the next one, she's like, "Can I give you a hand?" And then he says, "Thanks." So offer your arm, don't take the hand. I think that's super helpful to at least be aware of. Would that be what I am I on the right page with that one, Dorlin?
Yeah, yeah. Offer an elbow. Certainly don't take theirs and physically guide them. There's a YouTube clip I love of Al Pacino from Sin of a Woman where he plays a character who's blind and someone takes his arm and he says, "Am I blind or are you blind? I
Crying.
take your arm." It's amazing. Guys, look it up. It's a 46-second clip on YouTube. Like, "Am I blind?" Al Pacino, Son of a Woman. It's amazing. But like people do like I've had my cane grabbed so many times. Like no matter what someone's mobility tool is, be it a cane, a guide dog, a wheelchair, a support cane, anything, don't touch. It is part of their personhood to some extent. It is how we are navigating. But I've had people grab my cane, and the response from them, I feel, is like they're afraid I'm going to hit something with it, not realizing the point of the cane is to hit things. Well, like I am getting tactile feedback. I'm getting all sorts of feedback from it. The point of the cane is to hit something before I hit it. I don't want my shin to get hit, and so I use the cane. And so if someone's like, "Oh, let me keep this cane from hitting this curb," instead I'm going to trip on that curb. I mean, at that point I'm going to stop because someone's touched my cane. But you get the picture.
Yeah, yeah. It's a little wild.
It is.
Uh, Let me read some of these comments, and most of the comments are like, "Why would people do that?" But Developed by Akia said, "I just don't understand what would possess someone to touch a person without consent. Yikes." That's why I think, and okay, I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I've done this before. Not to a blind person though, but I would not be surprised if I did. What happens, and it happened to me, is like you just automatically like your hand is reaching out before your mind tells you that it's gonna do it, right? I think if you see something and you're just like you have a reaction to it, and the only reason I was able to kind of like stop myself after I touched the person, I'm like, oh, I shouldn't have did that, was because I'm aware. But for a lot of people, they don't have that awareness at all, which is why I think things like this is helpful to know and to kind of study and be aware of. Gonna read some more of these. We're also gonna watch this clip that Dorlin was just talking about, Scent of a Woman. It's already on my screen. It's a minute long, after I read some of these comments. Yes. Holda said, "Africa, your cat next to you looking around, LOL. Your cat is studying with us." Yes. This is Raichu, everyone. I can throw her off the computer, like off right now, and she will jump back up 5 more times. So I just let her chill if she doesn't sit directly on my keyboard. And right now she's fine, so we'll leave her there. Let's see what anyone else says.
She's part of the study group at this point.
Oh yeah, definitely. She's like, disability etiquette? Well,
let me tell you guys something.
She knows everything.
Oh, and there I went and used guys. Oh my gosh, it's so hard, guys. It's just there twice.
No, I don't know.
I know.
The guys thing, it's a part of my vocab, and I'm gonna ask more people. I'm gonna do like a little poll or something. Can I keep saying it, y'all?
Right. Well, but I think just to loop it back to this is that like with etiquette and like it's just like we've got these ableist and things kind of baked into us, just like we're all having to take a step back and evaluate a lot of the ways we handle all sorts of different situations. This is part of that, checking our biases as we go. And one of those is like, as a former like able-bodied person was like, oh, that I can, oh gosh, sorry, couldn't see that there. It was like, I am better suited to navigate situations than someone who is blind, for example. And now I know that's not the case being in that situation, but it's just like, it's hard, man. We're learning together and we're trying.
Yeah, definitely.
Some do better than others. Some haven't gotten the message yet, I guess.
It's hard, I think. we know better, but I get not knowing better.
Exactly.
Graham put the
And being nice when people don't know better, like it's better to teach people with honey than vinegar. I know in certain situations, like I'm like, don't grab me. And like sometimes people need to hear that too. But I do try and educate in a kind way. And so if you see someone, and you need to feel the need to step in, like also, trying to educate in a calm and not putting someone down because people learn a lot better in that way.
Yeah, I mean that is actually a whole topic in and of itself.
Yeah.
It truly is. And I want to honor that by maybe speaking about it a little bit. I think it's worth talking about. I think what we've been talking about in the disability community lately has been how to talk to people who don't know better, when we're very frustrated and keep coming up with, we're going through the same thing every day, kind of. So you kind of get a little snippy. And we're talking about people, not people who should know better, right? We're not talking about that. We're talking about just regular old people who have no clue. And what I've noticed is helpful is coming from a place of like, I want for you to think about it and for us to have an educational moment together. And I try to be nice about it because I keep thinking my own self, and I say it a lot, like, how would you know if you don't know, if someone hasn't told you? And if I tell you real rude, like, and with the spiciest of ways, as I am apt to do, you're probably going to resent me, which is not fair, but it is what it is. We're all human, right? And it's not going to really make you want to do better. So I've noticed like just being a little bit kinder and like nicer about it, but like, every so often someone's going to have to get the spice. It is what it is. But being nice about it the first time around on a good day when you're not feeling too crazy with it, I think is can be helpful. Just remembering that like we all were a little, not too aware once.
It's so true.
All right, we're gonna go through some of these comments and then we're gonna watch this clip. But let's see. Graham, thanks for that. Gwendolyn said, I don't get how anyone would think that's okay. They're on overdrive, y'all. Hold a D Code said, back in the day when I didn't know any better, I didn't touch anyone, but told a white cane user to wait for me so I could help them get to the conference room, assuming they couldn't do it on their own. I learned and went deep into disability rights in general. I was so ashamed. And yeah, see, even that, like, right? It's hard. Like, how would you know anything if you didn't know a blind person or read about it? Like stuff like that is like, oh well, I assume if you can't see, maybe, like, how would you navigate anywhere new? That sometimes is a question that I have in my own brain, but then just talking, because I have blind friends, I have more context. But before I had blind friends or new blind people, it was a mystery to me. Like, how do you do anything, right? So I think that shame I hate that you felt shame, but I'm glad that influenced you to learn more.
Yeah, I definitely understand that. I've had moments like that for sure. And I also want to say that part of disability etiquette is not like pretending that people with disabilities don't have their disabilities, So, like in a situation like that, sometimes offering the help as a would you like help getting to the conference room, especially like if I'm in a new space for maybe a conference and it's something that I haven't navigated much. I'm going to find where I need to be. But sometimes someone saying, would you like some help getting there, and kind of acknowledging it might be harder for me to find it is a relief. And it's like, yeah, I was doing a million things trying to get ready for this presentation we're going to. And trying to find the room, it's nice to have that offer. And of course, if I know where I'm going, I can politely say, or depending on how that person is, but I can decline. I can say, "Oh no, I've got it. Thank you for your offer," and go about my way.
Right. That's That's a good point.
I saw something I was reading over the last couple of days about disability etiquette about someone who's blind. If they dropped something, like letting watching them just like scramble around, saying instead, "Oh, would you like me to pick that up for you?" Or would you like me to help you locate that even, because like telling me a half foot to my right allows me to still grab the object without feeling around, without someone else having to touch it for me, because maybe I don't want my stuff touched, you know so just kind of being aware, it's thinking before you act
Right.
and speak.
Yeah. Yeah, these are all really good points and things that I would not know how to approach myself, if I didn't have any experience with just like being like, oh, well, this is my friend, or, like I get that you may want some help, but I always err on the point of caution to my detriment and the other person's. So it's been really nice just like getting comfortable and understanding the nuances of situations of like when to offer help and how to offer it in a way that's not demeaning. That's the main part, right? Like offering in a way that's helpful and not like, do you need help, poor thing?
Right, that still respects their dignity as a human being.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
MMAK2 said, if the old saying, when you assume, you make out a, yeah, doesn't apply to these situations. Graham said, it's well intentioned but ill informed and ignorant. I wish they took a half day and just taught basic etiquette to people in schools. Yeah, yeah, that'd be nice, right? Kathy Code said, when I was a teenager, I was asked to accompany a friend's uncle who was blind to a nearby train station and just found everything so scary because I didn't know what to do and grabbed his arm instead of guiding him. And that is totally normal, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
what else? It's you don't know, and I've done that too. Oh man, I cringe at the things that I've done. Like as a young clinician, like they give us disability etiquette in OT school or whatever, but like when you're in the room with a person with disability for the first time and you're like, I don't know what to do, like it's kind of awkward. But I think in general people with disabilities know, they're not expecting anyone to be perfect. But it is, I mean, now we're just like, at least we know now, right? Graham said, I
Mm-hmm.
never care what language people use. I look at their action and their intentions. Try to change your language. Don't beat yourself up if you slip. Just bear in mind, that is my approach. I totally agree with that. Like, the words, I mean, words do matter to a certain extent, but like what's in your heart, are you genuine? Like I will forgive you of so much if you're just coming to me as a person, right? MMK2 said, in my opinion, I feel like guys is okay. It's gender neutral. It's when it's specific that it's cringe. I say ladies and gentlemen in my classes all the time. And then I always catch myself and say, sorry guys, I'm not assuming gendering. So let's rephrase that to ladies and gentlemen and everyone in between, which is still not the best, but I'm trying. Yeah. Gender neutral language is something I struggle with so badly that I am actively embarrassed, like most of the time when I speak and like listen back to myself. I'm really trying with that, and I'm trying to just call everyone they off rip now and like get rid of like saying she and he, but I'm still really bad at it. Um,
Another thing, and this kind of ties in with, gender language or language around gender, is knowing that person's preferences, talking to that person. Because, as we brought up person first language very briefly, where you would say, person first. So a person who is blind, a person with a disability, a person who is deaf, as opposed to blind person, disabled person. I personally, I'm a blind person. I refer to myself that way all the time, and so there's a lot of nuance here. And
right.
it's just back to that, get to know the people you're around, ask their preferences too. And, it might be someone likes to go sighted guide whenever they're with you. That's what the official name for giving someone your elbow is.
Mm-hmm.
an individual sighted guide, maybe they really like that. You'll come to learn that. And maybe they never, they don't. They always want to follow with their guide dog behind you. It's just person, get to know that person.
Yeah, definitely. Everyone has their different preferences for sure.
Yeah.
Um, Ag- Agrabina says you can always use folks. I've been trying to use folks a little bit more, but it's just not in my vocabulary, and I don't. It's ugh. People use folks with
Not
an
folksy
X.
enough.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I just
Oh, okay.
don't
Huh?
like it. When I see folks
Oh,
with an X, I'm just like, ugh, that's not me.
see, I don't like it when people mix spell. No, I
Oh
can't do that.
well.
But folks with a KS, I'm okay with.
Well, another thing is if you're using words that are not in English, the screen reader is going to F it up, okay? I wonder how the screen reader would read that. I feel like it's phonetically like not
It
bad.
might get folks with an S. I'm about to type it out and give it a run through.
Oh my gosh.
Um, that's
Kathy
funny
Code said,
though.
I remember being trained during my time volunteering for the Paralympics. They told me to tell people when they ask about the toilets to point out the toilets, male, female, disabled, rather than assuming the person's gender. Also, they could have friends that also needed the toilet. Graham said, yeah, the person first thing is actually really polarizing. I've actually moved backwards and mix it deliberately in articles now. Yes, because I speak to so many people, especially like the autistic community, like and the deaf community and the blind community. I think those are the top three who are the most vocal about person first. And there's no consensus. Like some people are okay with being called a blind person or I am autistic, not a person with autism. So these things require nuance, and just understanding the nuance is enough for you to fix your mouth and ask the person, how would you like to be referred to? That's what we don't do enough. We don't ask people, what are your pronouns? Are you a person with autism? Are you an autistic person? Like, how would you like me to refer to you? We just got to ask.
Yeah. What's crazy in reading about this, and there's a line where it talked about in the UK, person first language actually means saying person last because that's the last thing your ear hears. So blind person is actually person first because I don't know. It was crazy. I was like, it's so subjective. Or
It's
not subjective, but
weird.
it's different. It's varying. People are different. All
Yeah.
people are different.
Graham actually just said, folks, y'all, dot, dot, dot. I'm British. They just don't work for me. Closest I have is peeps. Yeah,
Well, I
y'all
like
don't
people.
use y'all. See, me, this is my new strategy, y'all. I'm from the South. I'm from Miami, South Florida, whatever. Um, and I say y'all a lot, and that's what I'm replacing everything with is gender neutral. Y'all, y'all, y'all. Kathy Code said, yeah, I definitely got into that conversation with my therapist. We're both autistic. The autistic conversation is like a whole big one that's really interesting to talk about. I need to get my charger, and then we're going to watch this clip and move on because we'll be here forever, unfortunately. But take it away while I go find my charger, Dorlin.
All right, cool. Well, so we've been talking about a lot of the blind etiquette stuff, and I think we're going to get into the rest of it after this. But a couple of things we haven't talked about are like if you're interacting with a person who's deaf, making sure that you have a clear line of sight with them, that you don't cover your face when you're talking, um, you don't finish their sentences, things like that. Some of the etiquette around interacting with people who are in a wheelchair is if you're having a conversation with them, kneeling down if you're able to, so that or able to sit next to them so that they're not having to crane their neck up while you're talking. And certainly not leaning on their chair, using it to balance anything that you might be holding, stuff like that. Just remembering that that's part of their being, that's their bubble there. And if there's something that they need help with that chair or anything, they're going to ask you. Now, if you see something dragging off the back of their chair, don't pretend nothing's going on, treating that person like a human. If you had something dragging out of your backpack, you'd like someone to kindly say, hey, excuse me, there's something going on there. So that person can then respond and say, oh, gosh, I didn't know. Can you help me? Or, oh, yeah, that's how that's supposed to be. I mean, there's obviously some, gray area here because you don't want to like assume that something's wrong with something, but just, taking that step back and thinking about a situation is just so key in everything we've been talking about.
Yeah. Thank you for mentioning all that because we didn't even get into that. Okay, let's watch this clip that Dorlin told us to watch.
I love this one.
What I'm hopeful that we will not get any echoing, so don't say anything, okay, for now while I play this, because I have to like turn on another thingy and hope that this works. If you guys can't hear this when it starts playing, just let me know.
Come on. Yeah, dumpster, yeah. Remember, when in doubt, fuck.
Good afternoon, sir. Where's our destination?
Our destination, New York City. Home of the brave.
Yes, sir. We got 2 for the shuttle to New York.
I'm not shuttling anywhere. Look at those tickets. It's first class with them.
Yes, sir. First class.
Colonel, you bought me a ticket? I never said I'd go to New York.
What are you, some kind of chicken shit? Sticks to job description only?
846, sir.
As you were, Sergeant.
Thank you, sir.
Which way's the door? Are you blind? Are you blind?
Of course not.
Then why do you keep grabbing my goddamn arm? I take your arm.
Sorry.
Don't be sorry. How would you know? Watching MTV all your life.
Yeah.
Okay, hopefully everyone could hear that. And my CC was in Spanish, so I apologize about that. But
I couldn't hear it, but I'm not sure if that's because I'm on the stream with you.
it's probably because you're on the stream with me.
Okay,
but-
good. As long as someone else could hear it, that's what's up.
Okay, let me turn this off. All right. Yeah, it looks like everyone else heard. Yeah, the MTV one got me. We already kind of explained what was on here, so y'all kind of know. If you can't hear what's on here, we explained what this video was about. So no worries. All
And
right,
you can
so
go look it up.
we're gonna get out of here and talk a little bit more about some other disabilities. I'm gonna be using Deck University's course. Remember, if you are interested in using this course, hit us up on the Discord and I will send you some links. I don't want to put them on blast during this stream on like YouTube Live. So that's why I'm not sharing that. Okay, so let's see. I have it pulled up already, I'm pretty sure. I hope. Where is it? Is it on a different one? Sorry, y'all. Holocaust said MTV. Yes, like blind people touching people's faces to feel what they look like. LOL.
God.
Oh my God. Man, I always think about Ray Charles, how he would feel like women's wrists to see how fat they were. Lives
Oh,
right
you know
in
what's
my head.
funny? I get so much information from taking a person's arm for sighted guide. It's like it's just an arm, but I'm getting height statistics, general like body size statistics as well. It's interesting.
It's interesting to know. Darn, I have to redo this. Okay, give me 1 minute to get into this. What did you say it was under again? IAP
It's the CPACC certification.
preparation. And then it's, we're on disability etiquette. Okay. All right, we're going to go kind of briefly through this, and then we're going to spend the next, at most, hour on statistics for those who want to hang out. Hulda Decode said, Africa, are you working for Shell now? JK, really like your jacket. I know, this jacket, I got it from the thrift store, and it's super cool. I always get like compliments on it. And it's cold in my apartment because I have shared heat, which means they determine when my heat comes on. So there's that. We're still on AC and it's cold outside. All right, so let's talk about, we talked a lot about what to avoid. Let's talk about people first language and the examples of people first language, because we didn't really talk about that all that much. We're gonna avoid calling people the disabled or the handicap. Instead, we'll call them people with disabilities. We're gonna avoid saying crippled, physically handicapped, or wheelchair bound, right? We don't use those words anymore, y'all. We don't use them because someone is not bound by a wheelchair. They are a wheelchair user. They're not crippled. They may be disabled. A person with a physical disability, impairment, or wheelchair user. One word that I don't like to use anymore, personally, and it comes from the medical model, is impaired. I don't like that word. I don't know. I'm not feeling it. Sometimes I use it, but oh my gosh, here's one of my things I hate, okay? Hulda D, thank you for saying this. So there's another thing going around, and this is always like, who is saying this stuff? But differently abled. Please don't say that, y'all. If y'all see someone saying like we should be saying that, like just be like, no. Differently abled, no thanks. We don't use the word diseased or defect. We say condition. And now my computer's telling me I don't have sufficient disk space to continue recording. Okay, that's fine. Hopefully nothing has changed and y'all can still hear me. Let me double check this real quick. All right, we're still going. Cool. All right, we don't say the blind. That feels like something I've said before. The blind, I don't know. Instead you say people who are blind, partially sighted, visually impaired. Okay, so I was speaking to a blind friend, and at work, sometimes we say non-sighted, and she got into like a whole debate with me about how that was like the worst thing in the world to say. And I got a little bit confused because I've heard other blind people say non-sighted, but she had some good points. And I was like, yeah, maybe I should stop saying that. But I'm curious, Dorlin, what do you think about the word non-sighted?
It's only something I've heard recently prevalently because it's used at work almost as if it is the like the neutral term or something for it. I don't know. For me, I think I don't know. I mean, it's descriptive. It doesn't offend me personally to be non-sighted, but I don't know their reasonings either. And that's kind of back to this discussion. Everyone has their own things, certain things irk people certain ways and other things don't.
Yeah, I also think
but I've joined this community later in life, and so I have a different experience than people who have been blind since birth.
Right.
And
this person had been blind almost like pretty much since birth, pretty much. But I've noticed that there are, like we keep talking about, there's nuance. Don't say the deaf or hearing impaired. Say people who are deaf, hard of hearing. Generally, I would say, and this is just me, the word impaired leaves a lot to be desired. I myself am trying to unlearn that word, but just like the word special needs, right? These are words that I've been saying for like 15 years as a clinician.
Man, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Because like there's TVIs in the profession, teachers of the visually impaired.
Right.
I think is what that stands for. So it's definitely embedded in the system. Like you said, it's from the medical model. I don't know. That's interesting.
Yeah. Graham said, see, this is what is so difficult as impaired in a lot of conversations I have is an acceptable phrasing. So impaired for me, I think is a personal thing because when I use the word impaired, I'm saying like something is wrong with the way that this person is doing something. And while I don't think that it's a bad word or a word that we shouldn't use at all because it is valid and is descriptive, I just don't like placing impaired as like a description of a person's ability to do something. But this is just like me in my head. Personally, I don't know.
I think in the last 5 minutes, you've convinced me to stop using impaired because, like, it's something you'll use if someone's, inebriated. They're impaired. It's like a lesser functioning due to
Right.
something. And like it's just, I don't know. I guess low vision is probably the better term instead of visually impaired.
Oh my gosh, come on.
Blind and low vision. It's so hard. But I'm convinced now, actually, I don't like that either. I think anytime when you're using language that has a negative connotation, there's a problem there. And you need to take a step back and evaluate how a community feels about that language, like why that language is being used and stuff like that. But anything that's negative, that's kind of where I feel like for me, that's why non-cited, it doesn't seem negative to me as much as well, let me back up. It says non at the beginning.
This person got really upset about it, and I like from that moment on stopped using it. Like even like when we do our reports, I don't put non-cited. I'm just like, I don't know who this is gonna offend, and if it offends even one person, I'm good. Also with impaired, I think impaired is better used for acute injuries that are not permanent.
That seems
personally
appropriate.
Sinotech said, oh, you're talking about your cats. Yeah, my cat is in my lap right now and she's being very extra. Here goes my little baby, y'all. I'm just keep my camera there so you can see her if you're interested. All right, let's talk about addressing people directly who have disabilities. Okay. This is a big one. I see it a lot. Raising your voice like the person can't hear you. Me and Dorlin have talked about this. I think it's people just mixing up their disabilities.
Well, another thing I caught in reading about this, if you raise your voice to someone who's using a hearing aid, for example, they've already got that calibrated the way they need it to hear your voice at normal speaking level. And if you talk to them louder, it's almost like, throwing off that balance and can make it harder to hear what you're saying. And, like if I were to lean into my microphone right now, it would make me harder to hear than where I'm at right now. So it's just, something else to keep in mind with that one.
Whoa, I actually never thought about that. And that is a really great point. Graham said, it might be a culture thing. Bear in mind, I'm in the UK. A lot of suggestions from the USA are more offensive here. That's also a good point. We're talking from the perspective of American language, English, and things are different everywhere. We have a very global, audience right now. I think there's 11 countries represented in our little group. So things will be different other places, which is why I love the chat and hearing what other people are saying about what they think on their side of the world, because we really don't know. Hulda said, I'll be interested in knowing which ones those would be, Graham. Hulda said, next time I go to London, wouldn't want to say something that is acceptable in the US. Yeah, I'm pretty curious about that too. But let's get into some of these things. So don't raise your voice like you're talking to a child, because the person could probably hear you. And if they can't, they will let you know. Use a normal pitch of volume. Don't use baby talk or talk real cute. Just talk to people like normal people. At the end of the day, all these rules just mean please just be normal. Don't interrupt someone with speech impairments who are trying to try to finish their sentences for them. This one is a really big one that I learned just as a clinician, because a lot of my patients were nonverbal or didn't have the use of motor control for their mouth. or spoke really slowly or were processing speech at an extremely slow rate. And the most frustrating thing for them that they've told me specifically is people getting like very impatient and finishing their sentences for them before they could, and being extremely wrong in what they wanted to say. And also, you're not actively listening if you're waiting for someone to be done so that you can speak, right? So just something to keep in mind. Listen patiently, and if needed, ask for clarification and just wait. I think that's a really nice thing to do for someone. I think a lot of this is just like, put yourself in someone's shoes, be a nice and good person, and wait for the person to be done. Don't put your hands near your mouth when communicating with someone who's deaf or hard of hearing. Ensure that they have a clear view of your face, because if they can't see your mouth, then they can't read your lips. Graham said, so daft is one that it's suggested to use dense instead. In the UK, daft is a bit silly. Dense is completely stupid. Oh, that's an interesting one. Something to avoid: playing Guess Who games with people who are blind or visually impaired. That is so patronizing, y'all. Don't do that. Oh my God.
I do not like that. We were playing enough guessing games all day anyway.
Yeah. Introduce yourself by name to the person who's blind. Don't be like, oh, guess who? Because come on, y'all. Like, that's just.
Do you know who this is?
Like, am I too?
Because, like, what if I guess wrong? Then it's embarrassing for me.
Yes. And then the one we talked about, speaking to a friend or support worker of a person with a disability when the conversation is directed at the person with the disability. Don't do it. All right, let's talk about phrases.
Let's back up real quick. The one where talk to the blind person. Another one that I thought was going to come up there is announce when you're leaving the room too. That one usually goes hand in hand with that one. If you've been having a conversation, or if you've just been hanging out in the room, and then you're going to leave, letting me know that you're leaving is going to prevent me from then turning and starting up a conversation with an empty chair, which is also embarrassing, but it happens.
Yes. Dorlin did talk to us about that happening to her. And every so often, I don't really do it that often, but every so often Dorlin will be talking to me and I'll like walk away.
It's only when you're going
by the water ball, whatever. And she'll just be like talking. And I come back and I'm like, damn, I definitely didn't tell her I was leaving. My bad. I haven't done that in a while though. Okay. Graham said, I'm sure you wouldn't by mistake, at least when it comes to disability, but I can give you a general tip that is, you do not sit on your fanny over here. It means something very different. The only reason I know this is because I watch a lot of Love Island, and also I'm addicted to Reddit, and one of the things they were talking about was specifically fanny and how it definitely does not mean your butt. It means the other part. So that's interesting. This is a good one. Phrases that sound potentially offensive but aren't. So we can go in one direction, which is trying not to say anything offensive, right? Which is always good. But then we can go in the opposite direction of just like doing that too much and like overcompensating. So a good example is like, and these are things that I feel like we laugh about because we're jokesters, but like, you don't have to avoid saying things like see you later to a blind person, you know what I mean? Because they're going to obviously know. But I feel like if I said see you later to Dorlin, she would just make a joke. What was a joke? Like we were talking about watching TV at my house or something, and I was like, my TV is so small, like no one would want to come to my house. And she was like, well, I can't see, or something. I don't know what you said, but the whole office busted out laughing.
Doesn't matter to me.
Oh man. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
but yeah, I think I texted you, see you soon, before we got here.
Dead.
It's part of it.
Yeah. So don't assume people need help. Offer when it's needed. Say hello. I think we're pretty good on all this. Service animals. Let's do 5 more minutes on this, and then we're going to move over to the statistics, because I think that's going to take us another little chunk. But service animals are animals at work. They're on a job. We know, oh my gosh, I really want to show y'all this picture. I'm scared I'm gonna get in trouble. What if I just make it bigger and like don't show anything else? Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. Okay, y'all, look at this.
What is it?
It is a miniature horse.
Oh,
A miniature horse guide horse. I don't know what they call them, but it's literally, it has like a little thing that says do not touch. How do we get miniature horses as guide animals? That's kind of wild.
so they are covered by, like specifically, and I believe in the ADA. I have yet to meet someone with a guide horse, a mini horse. I've met some mini horses before. They're really cool. But yeah,
That's
dogs are
awesome.
not the only animals trained for service tasks.
I actually love that. All right, let me fix my screen share on this side really fast.
That's cool.
Okay. So yeah, the main thing when it comes to our guys and our guide dogs is gonna be don't touch your guide dogs. Don't get them all riled up because they're gonna get riled up half the time. Well, maybe not. Most of them are pretty professional. You know what I mean?
It's just mine that's looking for engagement. No, some of them are looking for engagement. So, like not touching, but also like not making eyes at a dog. You know how like you can make eyes with a dog, like avoiding even that with a service dog. Anything that's going to be distracting to that dog's task at hand. And that is so
Right.
certainly not feeding them or trying to get their attention. If you know a service dog's name, you shouldn't call it when they're actively working. I mean, you should really talk with that handler about when is okay to use that name in a lot of circumstances, just because a lot of these dogs, like my guide dog, if he's got his harness on, he's at work. So, there's certain rules he goes by, but there's other dogs that are trained to alert for blood sugar type things or seizures where they're really going to be on duty all the time. And you really need to make sure that you're allowing them to do their jobs.
Right.
So,
Graham, you know everything. What's up?
I
Graham
love
said guide horses live for up to 40 years. There's a reason some people have them, especially if they do not cope well with grief, for example. That's so interesting. Also, everyone noticed that the the miniature horse was wearing sneakers, and I just noticed that. That's
Oh, I love that so much. Tank has some really cute shoes too.
Oh my goodness. I swear, if he comes to work with shoes on, I will lose it.
Oh, he will be the grumpiest guide dog. He does not like them very much, but I'll send you a video.
All right, so everyone's different. We already learned all that. Let's move on. We learned all about etiquette. I think we've learned really good things in general. The lifespan for a guide dog, I think, actually, Dorlin, take it away. What is like, well, Graham said dogs generally have a 10 to 14 year lifespan, but I think they work for like 7 years or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, I think a general working dog, for a guide dog, I got Tank, for instance, when he was 19 months old. He's kind of on the young side of things. You normally get them when they're around 2 years old. That's when they've completed their training and are mature enough. And then, they'll work for, it depends on how many years, but I'm hoping Tank will want to work till he's about 10, maybe get a good 8 years. But, around 8 and 9, we're going to start having a conversation about how he's doing. And then, getting him into retirement so that he can live the good life of just, laying around and chewing on toys all day and chasing squirrels or something. I don't know, things he doesn't get to do now.
Yeah.
But yeah, probably 7 or 8 years is pretty average. If you're working a dog in a city, working really hard, it's going to be less. Someone, rural dog might work longer. But every dog's different too. Dogs end up with health problems. Some dogs decide, hey, I don't want to work anymore. This is too much for me, whatever it is.
Right.
It really varies. But I have heard that about the miniature horses. One of the advantages is how much longer that lifespan is. Because, for a guide dog, you're going to train with that dog for however much time you're going to train with them. And then you're going to spend probably a year really syncing up as a team, to really just understand each other's movements, trust each other, all that type of stuff. And so having to do that every 7 years or so, you know, I'm
Right.
not looking forward to the next time.
Yeah, that
It's
sounds
not
like a
coming for me.
lot.
Tank's gonna work forever. It's fine.
Yeah, Tank. Graham said, I did not know that working life was only until 8 or 9. That's super interesting and obvious when you think about it. Hulda said, that makes sense, Dorlin. Okay.
Yep. Some of them do work till like 10, 11, 12. We'll see. But yeah.
Yeah.
All right. It's all good. He's a happy worker now.
Yeah, one of one of the people who works with us, her dog is in semi-retirement. So that's interesting. I think that means that they work like 50% of the time while like waiting to be retired.
They work, I mean, it's different in any circumstance, but in that one, I think it's more the less stressful situations the dog works in, and the more stressful situations, the cane comes out and the dog gets healed. And life goes on.
Right. All right. Disability demographics and statistics. I got about 30 to 40 minutes in me. We'll see how long this one goes. My ride just texted me to let me know that they won't be here till 6. So do you know what that means, y'all? Because we got an hour-and-a-half drive, which means we won't get there till like 7:30-ish. It means I'm going to be setting up camp stuff at night with people who are not real campers, because I'm the real camper. Whew, all right. So I'm here. With
Oh
you
my
all.
goodness.
I know. I'm just like, really? I'm not even going to text this person back. I'm just like, let me put my phone on the charger, and then we're going to talk about disability demographics and statistics. Give me 2 seconds.
All right. That sounds good.
All right. All right. So up on my screen is an infographic, and it says the approximate number of people with disabilities in the United States is 51 million. No diversity group is excluded from disability, and it is the only minority group that you can join. Oh my gosh. That is 19% of the US population. So I think they say 1 in 5 people have a disability in general. Approximately 30% of US families have at least one member with a disability. The approximate percentage of US families that have at least one child with disability is 10%. And it's estimated that 30% of veterans have a disability.
Wow.
30 million people have difficulty walking or climbing stairs. 12 million people require assistance of others with everyday tasks. 8.1 million people have a vision difficulty. 7.6 million have a hearing difficulty. 3.6 million are using a wheelchair. 2.4 have Alzheimer's or dementia. These are just random facts that I found. All right, so these are the questions that we need to ask today. How many people with disabilities live in a given country, region, or in the world? So these are our CPACC questions that came up on the body of knowledge that they did not answer for us, and we will be answering together. Let's see. What are the percentages of people with different types of disabilities in different age groups? How many people with disabilities are employed? How much disposable income do people with disabilities have? How many people with disabilities are below the poverty line, maybe, or in poverty? Me and my typos, we're going to pretend they're not there. How many people with disabilities smoke, are obese, have diabetes, or have a heart disease? And I put page 65 of the CPACC body of knowledge. So let's pull that up. Page 65, eh? All right, so here are all the questions. I'm on page 64 right now. That's where I got all those questions from. From the Eurostats report, Disability Statistics Introduced, data regarding the functional status of people needs should be taken as a key input for public policy in areas such as health, social participation, housing, transport, culture, Education and employment, policy development in these areas can benefit from reliable data on the functional status of the population. So we do have a group member who just took the CPAC like a couple days ago. And I am super curious about what they were asked in this specific area. I think I opened up some of these already. This is the Canadian Survey of Disability. Oh man, this is a lot. Okay, so in 2012, about 3.8 million people, or 13.7% of Canadians age 15 and older, reported being limited in their daily activities because of a disability. So I was just about to ask where Jamil was. Hey Jamil, we're talking about Canada. Sino said, when we writing, by the way. What? I don't know. Wait, maybe sorry. I need to look at the comments they've stacked up. Let me see what you guys are even talking about. MMK to bring a big old flashlight. I have 3 lanterns, 3 headlamps, 1 flashlight. So guess we're gonna see how that goes. Graham said, question number 1, about 15 to 20% depending on the country. Yep. I think it's safe to say 15, but in between 15 and 20% of the population has some type of disability across the board. Graham said, I thought we were answering them as we go. LOL. Yeah. When we were writing, when we are writing the exam, I forget, context only exists in my head. What? Oh, when are we writing the exam? I don't know what you mean by that, Sino. Graham said, there is a very key item I cannot see on the page. We are only including permanent long-term disabilities. As I imagine, transient temporary disabilities increases that on any given day. Yes, I think for the most part, we're talking about the permanent ones because literally every single one of us will be disabled at one point in our lives. When are we writing the CPACC test? What do you mean writing the exam? Sino, please be more clear because I want to answer. Yes, long term. Yep. Okay, we're on the same page. Some of us are planning to take it in November if that's what you meant. Okay, I don't know, Sino. If you're asking when we're taking the exam, most of us are trying to take it in November. And I think you said you were going to try to take it in November too. Okay, so this is Canada. 1 in 10 working age Canadians reported having a disability in 2012, compared to 1/3 of Canadians. Women have a higher prevalence of disability than men. That's interesting.
Well, one thing I'm talking about temporary disabilities is that when you are pregnant, you are considered to have a disability. So I wonder if that factors into that at all, but that's a temporary disability. So.
Okay, so Sino is asking when the date is for the CPAC, and let's look it up right now. I'm pretty sure it is November 5th, maybe 15th or something like that.
Yeah, I think it starts. I think the dates the testing starts mid to late November, but the sign up starts at the beginning of November.
Right. Okay. So basically, applications open to sign up on the 1st and they close on the 21st. The exam, you can take it in between November 15 to December 6. So there's not an exam day, there's an exam window. You can either take it in person at one of the facilities, they say. You can take it online at home, but that's more complicated. And then for fun, we're gonna talk about accommodations for this exam at a later date, probably the week before. All right, so that's that. Okay, let's see what else they wanted us to put on here. Like what else they wanted us to look at. the CDC, Center for Disease Control and Prevention. Okay, this is a long infographic. Let's see if we can learn anything. 1 in 4 adults in the US have some type of disability. I already went through all of these kind of. Oh, okay. These are literally all the questions answered that we just asked. So let's just go through them one by one and answer them.
Awesome.
Sorry for getting chaotic.
This is on the CDC website that the answers are.
Yes.
That's cool.
I'm going to put the link for everyone in the chat.
I don't think I'm in the chat.
And then for you, Dorlin, this link, I think I can send it to you on Video Ninja if you need it. Do you need it?
No, I can just listen along. That's fine.
Well, I'm going to send it to you anyways.
Okay.
We're inclusive in here, all right?
Yay! There you go, guys. I love it.
All right. I don't know if it's, well, we'll see if Video Ninja is inclusive in that you can actually get to the chat and open that up. But
Yeah, that's a good point.
and let us know. You know, I love a good roast session. How many people with disabilities live in any given country, region, or the world? Actually, no, I didn't mean to try to open VS Code. I want to open Anki, and we're going to just do Anki together on this one so we don't have to do it again. So open up Anki. If y'all have Anki, open your Ankis up. Let's do this. Okay, I'm gonna get out of there and we're gonna go to the CPACC and we're gonna add, and on the front we ask, oops, not what I wanted. How many people with disabilities live in a given country, region, or the world? This one we should be able to answer with our eyes closed, and the answer is oh, and then Graham asks, now then, are these causations or correlations though? That is important. Pfft. Graham, stop asking questions that are too hard. Emma's here. Hey, Emma. Emma Dawson, Dev in the house, y'all. Emma said, take it as late as possible, more time to practice and less time to wait for the results. That part. Yeah. And even though our studying will end for the CPACC at the end of this month, like we'll be going through the modules, we'll be done. What we're going to do as we get into the coding part is in the beginning, we'll do Anki so that we can keep fresh for those upcoming weeks in November. So we know the answer for this, right? Right? Someone put it in the chat. I just need to see it again. 10 to 15%, depending on the country. I think it's more like 15 to 20%. Or we can put 10 to, we're going to put 15 to 20. Right? Or is it,
Yeah,
or is it
I think
10?
15 to 20 you read earlier. But then we did read a statistic where off the CDC where it said 1 in 4, and that's 25%. So.
Oh, my mistake. That's what I meant. Yep. 15 to 20%. We're going to just leave that there and put some say 25. But I think we should be fine with that as an answer. All right. What are the percentage of people with different types of disabilities in different age groups? All right. Let's pull that up. And y'all, I'm sorry. My Anki is going to be really, really small. So it is what it is.
And guess what, Africa? I was able to access the link in Video Ninja.
Nice.
So that's exciting. So I'm over here on the disability statistics, and I should be able to help you out.
Okay. Right now we're going to try to figure out the age groups. And
Well,
I feel like we just saw it, but now
I don't know about so there's a list of 6 items here where I think you were reading earlier, 12.1%, of U.S. adults have a mobility disability with serious difficulty walking or climbing stairs.
I think that's going to be another question on here. Let me see if that's a different question on here.
Okay, these are all about adults. All of these specify adults.
Okay, we just looked at the Canadian one and they talked about the different ages. So I don't know if they. So, like, for example, it says 1 in 10 working aged Canadians, 15 to 64, reported having a disability compared to almost 1/3 of Canadian seniors. But let me open the other link that they gave us and see if they wrote about it. So, this one has disability data. And I'm going to send this to you too in Video Ninja.
Yay.
And put it in the chat for anyone who wants to follow along and look at it and help us. Help us, please. This is the part of the study group where we're all studying and learning this for the first time together.
Yeah.
All right, so there goes the one that I have up, and I'm going to make this bigger so that y'all can actually see it better. Oh, here we go. Disability by age. Did this just Google it for me or something? What does that even mean?
Ooh, disabledworld.com.
Clicked on this. Disability by age. Oh man, they're giving me numbers. I need percentages, guys. Folks, y'all.
Well, we can make numbers into percentages if you want.
Oh my gosh, I don't want to. What do you mean if I want? Of course I don't want to. You want me to do math on the weekend? That's rude. Okay, so someone actually put something in the chat. Thank you, whoever that is. Let me look at it. Hulda coming through. Okay, so this is from the UNICEF 2022. The GBD estimated that at least 49 million, 7.5 of children under 5 have a disability, I'm guessing. 12.6 of children aged 5 to 19. 13% of all children younger than 20 have mild to severe disabilities globally. Okay, and then MMAK2 said they found it and they put it in the chat. Is this the one that I put in the chat? I don't know, but I'm gonna send it to you, Dorlin, as well. Uh-oh. Right. Now MMK2 is saying lies. It's numbers. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's hard though because these numbers are also changing, and I am curious what numbers the IAP, is drawing from, because some of these things are going to be a little more updated if we're looking at stats from right now than, I don't know. I just don't know. The numbers change. I'm kind of not sure how to go about studying this part, to be honest with you.
Me either. So I don't know if you saw the chat, and I was surprised to hear this, but the person who took the CPACC said that there wasn't a lot of like numbers to remember. Or was that Emma who said that? I know.
I think
Emma
that was
said
Emma in the Discord.
Yeah. And also,
Which
Graham's right. The numbers
sense.
also rely on people disclosing, and a lot of people don't disclose that they have a disability.
It's so true.
So we're going to have to come back to this one because I don't want us to get too stuck on this.
They also gave us some of these statistics throughout the body of knowledge that we already went through. When we were talking about like color blindness, for instance, they gave us that stat that, it's like 1 in 12 men of European descent have it and 1 in 200 women. So I think when they give us those statistics, we should probably take note of those. But the other ones that we're going out for, it seems highly unlikely there'd be any specific numbers on there. It's more just a general idea.
Right. I agree. Emma said, I didn't have a lot of statistics questions. That's good. I feel like we won't get asked something this specific and based off of the example questions, I can't see them doing that. But let's answer some of the other ones then. How many people with disabilities are employed? Anybody know that off the top of their head?
I know within the blindness community, I've heard the number is 30% is employed.
Oh my gosh, okay.
I know, isn't it?
Let's see. Put add and
Employment
then
statistics.
you said 30%?
Of blind community.
Okay. Of the blind community, Holda said approximately 69 of the 5.1 million people working with disabilities are of working age. Only 30% of them have a job and a stable income to support themselves and their family. Wow, you were spot on, I guess.
Yeah, it's one of those statistics that definitely grabs you.
Oh, can you tell them the statistic? I don't know if this was a real one or not, but the one about Braille.
Oh, I needed to go look that up so I knew it for sure. But it definitely Braille, the of all of the people who are blind or low vision, a minority know Braille. But there's a higher percentage of people who are employed who know Braille. I don't know. I don't want to you can give up any numbers for statistics. And since I don't have them in front of me, I don't want to say what it is, but I do know it's a higher number of people within the blind community who are employed know Braille than don't.
Right. How much disposable income? Oh, this is definitely a question for Graham. And I'm pretty sure, I don't know if it was Todd or Graham who blew my mind when they told me this, but how much disposable income do people with disabilities have? This was a conversation because we were talking about how to talk to stakeholders and companies about web accessibility and why they should care. And I'm pretty sure it's Graham. Graham specifically doesn't like leading with it's the right thing to do because no one cares in business. And I think that's super valid. They believe that you should lead with how much money they're leaving on the table. And I know it was Todd who specifically told me the number, but it was like billions of dollars of disposable income left on the table. And on top of that, I remember talking with you, Dorlin, about how, and this is just something in general that I know to be true, but specifically for the blind community, if you can find something that's accessible, they're going to tell their friends and they're going to use you for a long time, and be very loyal to you. So those are other good examples of like why you should care about accessibility. Graham has said, absolutely. So disabled people and their families have over $1 trillion worth of income to spend annually. Emma said this is something like 6 to 8 trillion. Sinotech said that's interestingly enough a great way to phrase it. Yeah. Phrase how much money they're losing, not how it's going to be good for the world, because they're just trying to make money. It is what it is.
It's true. If I run into a barrier, I'm going to walk away. I'm not going to spend my money more than like if it's something I really, really want to really need, I'll maybe find ways. But if like an impulse purchase, I'm never going to make if it's inaccessible. I bought like a $90 set of Lego Braille bricks on a whim because it was completely accessible. I was just like, did I just do that? And like that's the money argument for accessibility. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, although there is the flip side of the disabled population that is unemployed, that does not have disposable income that, we need to think of, especially when technologies are being developed and who can afford what and things like that.
Right.
You actually are only allowed to have a certain amount in savings if you are on SSI in the United States. The trying to think of what SSI actually stands for, Social Security Insurance, maybe, but it's for people who are disabled who didn't work. So people who, generally, SSDI is for people who did work and then acquired a disability that prevented them from working anymore. So that's the type of income I was on for a while, SSDI. But if you're on SSI, you're only allowed to have like $2,000 in your savings account, which is, I mean, I think there's actually something going through the legislative branch right now to try and fix that and raise that, or maybe get rid of it entirely.
Right, right. It's interesting. I'm looking at another infographic that shows how much people earn. So disposable income is a little bit different than just what people earn, right?
Right.
And it's looking like the average. So with the disability, it's around like $20,000 a year. Without a disability, it's around like $30,000 a year, which is interesting. I'm trying to see if they talk about disposable income on this, but it doesn't look like they do. They talk a lot about poverty and how little they make, of course. But I'm just trying to use
And
a
more of
resource that they've given us.
a disabled person's income is going to go towards certain things than a non-disabled person
Right.
in general. I would find, like we will lovingly refer to them as disability taxes, but just things we have to spend money on in order to make the world more accessible for us.
Right.
Like, I mean, I spend a certain amount a year on my preferred screen reader, and it's just part of where some of my disposable income is going to go.
Okay, I'm just gonna Google how much disposable income do people with disabilities have and see if there's any reliable source. Okay, I think the number that Todd told me was 500 billion because that's what's coming up. And I feel like he told me it was like $464 billion, something insane.
It's a big number, and companies should not be leaving it on the table.
Right. That's pretty much what they're trying to say.
Yeah.
We got to come back to this and like see how they want us to answer it. But like, I'm sure if we see it on the test, it's probably going to be a range, and we know that range is high. The number that I know though is like 464 or something like that. So I'm just going to put 500 billion was 500 billion. Up to, I saw something that said like 8 trillion. I don't know where they're getting these numbers from, but I'm just going to add them. All right. How many people with disabilities are below the poverty line?
That's probably a statistic we could Google.
Emma said 8 trillion is the number reported by the Global Economics of Disability Group. And then she put a link in here with that information. Let's click on it and see what's happening. But I put
Cool.
500 billion to 8 trillion, and I hope to God that they don't have both those numbers on there. Let's see, add that. Okay, good. Oh, I don't even know if whatever. All right. Oops. Bro, I'm just out here. Let's put this in here first. See what it says. People with disabilities control 8 trillion in spending.
Wow.
That figure is enormous and is hard to understand until it is explained in different monetary units. So this is from the Global Economics of Disability. So the number that I was talking about, I think, is in the U.S. So in the U.S. alone, the number is $645 billion. And I think the figure that Todd was talking about was like done in like 2014 or something maybe. So it looks like it's a lot more than we thought. It's 2 trillion Happy Meals, y'all, which will give 250 Happy Meals to each person on Earth. So that that puts it in perspective for sure. Okay, so let's talk about how many people with disabilities are below poverty. That's this infographic that I just saw, I think. Let's see. This is the poverty percentage gap among people. Poverty percentage gap. All right, so what percentage of people with and without disabilities are in poverty? So that answer is, for people with disabilities, the percentage increased from 21% in 2009 to 23% in 2012, then dropped to 20% in 2016. For people without disabilities, the poverty percentage increased from 13% in 2009 to 15% in 2011, then dropped to 13% in 2016. So for people with disabilities, right now, about 20% of them are at the poverty line, compared to 13% without disabilities.
About a 7% gap there.
I need to turn my caps off. All right, 13%. So that one is how many people with disabilities are below the poverty line. And I'm going to send these to you when I'm done, Dorlin. I need to like sync up my notes with yours. All right. How many people with disability smoke, are obese, have diabetes, or a heart disease?
You know, on that one, where did it just go?
I think I had that one up.
That one was one I found specifically on that that CDC website. They had a sentence that started with
Yeah, it's
people
on
with
here.
disabilities. Yeah.
Okay, so this one has a whole infographic. Disability and health. So
There it is.
41%, dang. 41% of people with disabilities have obesity, compared to 29% without disabilities. All right, we're going to break this down on Anki by how many people with disabilities are obese. And that would be, that's a big number, 41%. That's kind of surprising, but I guess not that surprising, because if you have a disability that like takes a lot of your energy, you know, or
Well,
disability that affects your weight.
I mean, I'm a little confused. I think obesity, I thought that was at a certain level is considered to be a disability.
It is.
But I think when it comes to getting active as a person with a disability, it's a lot harder than someone without it. I mean, you need to find accessible equipment or just, adaptive equipment, whatever it is. There's ways to get moving, but it's definitely harder.
All right. How many people with disabilities smoke? It says 21% with disabilities versus 10% without. So it looks like all of these are doubled almost compared
That's
to not
interesting.
disabilities. Yeah. How many people with disability have heart disease? Wow. 9% compared to 3. 9.6%. How many have diabetes?
Ooh, me. And so many of these are going to be related to or overlapping.
Right. So 15.9 compared to 7.6.
Wow.
Yeah. All right. So those are all the questions that they wanted us to know. We're coming up on our 2-hour mark pretty much, which is kind of where we wanted to be. The last thing I'm going to do is just look very quickly at Deck University to see if they have added anything that looks interesting enough to talk about. So let me change my screen so we're not doing anything proprietary. Here goes Raichu again. She won't go away, so I'm just going to let her be here.
Have you broken it to her yet that you're leaving her?
Oh, baby. She has Mew. They'll be all right. They're gonna. Mew is like sleeping over there. He's like, doesn't know what's going on. All right. This is my lap baby. I love him so much. Mew's a lap one too, but he's usually sleeping during the times that I stream. Thank goodness, because he's a wild one. All right, so let's look at Deck. Deck statistics. All right, disability range is between 10 and 20%. I think that's a fair amount to say. Okay, let's see. Let me read some of these comments first as well. My bad, y'all. Sinotech said, right, inconvenience is a turn away from sales. Developed by Akia said, I was just telling my boyfriend this. Sinotech said, that law is manufactured poverty. Graham said,
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong, actually. I might be thinking of something else. MK said, MMAK2 said, yes, there is a great article on this, how VCs should invest in startups owned by this and for disabled people. Trying to find the link. It's a great read. Huge underserved market. Yes, absolutely. Emma said 8 trillion. We already talked about that. Graham said these stats feel pretty useless as a lot of disabilities could be caused by being obese or smoking. Literally, that's what I was thinking as I was reading them. I was like, all right. They do feel pointless to even know, but it's more of like an interesting thing, like, oh, compared to blah, blah, blah. It's interesting, I guess.
Yeah.
Graham said, yeah, I did say I was wrong. I was thinking of the USA number, including friends and family. Yeah. Most of the numbers that they give us are going to be USA because we are a supremacy, apparently. Emma said, looks like I might be wrong too. 8 trillion is from the 2016 report. The 2020 report says 13 trillion. That's a huge difference. Jeez. And I'm sure that number will continue to increase because inflation is a B word. But worldwide disability incidents 15. Well, these are just giving us actual sources and then doing it by the country. I'm not going to go through all of this. We'll probably do a stream when we're finished where it will be just us going through Anki and everything that we learned. And during that stream, I think would be the best time to kind of go through these in a little bit more detail when we're not already 2 hours in and kind of fatigued. So I'm just looking at these to see if there's anything specific that looks like something we didn't even talk about. But I feel pretty good about the resources that we have. So these are things that you would just have to click on the links within and then just Google them yourselves and use like CDC resources that aren't just an article written by AI that pulled a bunch of statistics from somewhere. Yeah, I think we're good on this. Next week, Sinotech, who just said that it could go one of two ways. Either accessibility is left out when the building, which is bad, or people with accessibility needs have more disposable income, which is great. But yeah, I think we're finished. That was a good 2 hours of learning about etiquette. We did over an hour on just etiquette alone, which I was really excited about because I feel like that's a topic that I've not seen many people talk about. And it's like the beginning of where everything starts and ends in a way, like how we treat people, how we interact with them, is what they have to deal with every day, right? Like things are already inaccessible and then we have to think about like, damn, what is this person gonna do? Are they gonna grab me? Are they gonna talk to me like I'm not there? So what words to use, using words that aren't offensive. Thinking about what we're saying really is the main thing. Being mindful of word choices, being mindful of who you're talking to. If you're here with me now and I'm missing something, please let me know. If you're here with me now and you're active, put in the chat something that you learned new, because I think that would be helpful as well. Know that next week we're going to be learning about universal design, and Cinotech will be with us, giving us some information on that, because that is their specialty, also my specialty, and also Dorland's specialty, because literally an accessible world is what my girl needs to survive. MMK2 said that they learned to introduce when you walk into a room, when you and say bye when you exit. That's important.
Yay!
Kathy Code said, I learned so much every week. Thank you. MK said, thank you for this and good night. Oh, good night. What? Somebody's in a different time zone than us, I'm guessing. And then Cinotech said, whoa, my specialty. I don't know, Cinotech, is this not your specialty? You're the one who's going to be hanging out with us. I'm just kidding. Anyone can hang out with us during streams, even if it's not your actual something that you know nothing about. You can still come hang out during the stream. You don't have to teach us. You can be present and just give us your little tidbits as they come. Graham said, I learned guide dogs only work 7 to 8 years. Cinotech said, I know a bit about it, but I'm still learning. Haha. Well, great. You can tell us what you're learning. And since I know a lot about it because I was forced to learn, we can talk about it. And Dorland will also, I'm guessing, be there. I don't know. I feel like Dorland is just the co-streamer at this point, y'all. And she might be here for like most of the streams. I don't know. When we get to the coding part, we'll see what's up. Developed by Akia said 2 hours flew by. You know what? Every time I get on here, I be like, y'all, I'm only going to be here for 1 hour because I'm busy. And then I end up being on here for like 2 to 3 hours because time really does fly by and I'm having a great time. It's so fun talking about this. I don't know why. It's so interesting. And I love being here with y'all because y'all love it too. So it's great. Oh my gosh. MMK2 is in Japan, y'all.
Oh, wow.
They said, yeah, I'm in Japan, but this kept my attention. Tears to my actual eyes. Oh my gosh. MMK also said, we love Dorland. So Dorland, you have to come.
That's amazing.
I think the only reason my streams are so bomb is because Dorland's here low key.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
Yes, it does. So yeah, definitely next week there will be 3 of us. Like I said, y'all, in the Discord, if you ever want to hang out and just like chill with us on the stream, I'd be happy to have you. You just got to let me know. Cinotech said, oh yes, you're the person who recently posted in the GitHub. Welcome. Oh, I have to check the GitHub. And I'm not going to put you on blast, so I'm not going to do that, but I'm going to check it too so I can see. It's always good to know who's like in the chat and talking. I think I know most of y'all right now, but that's why the GitHub and the Discord introductions are important because it's just nice to know who's here. But yeah, if you have any questions, I'm going to be hanging out for like a couple minutes, just chilling, saying bye to everyone. But we're chilling now. I'm going to just read some of these comments so that Dorland is up on.
Can I also do a shout out for my little movie homework?
Oh, yes. Okay. Don't leave yet, y'all. This is important. We do have homework, and I think this homework's important because I'm also going to do it. So please let us know, Dorland.
And I'm going to do it again too because I haven't watched it in like a year or so, and it's so good. But So if you have access to Netflix, and it might be out in other places, but there's a movie called Crip Camp. Want to say it's spelled CRIPCAMP. There might be 2 P's on Crip, but Crip Camp. And it's a documentary on Netflix that's kind of about the disability movement, the disability rights movement. And there's just so much in that as I was thinking about disability etiquette, the stories that come in up in that, the personal experiences that really are like, oh my God, someone did what? It's really moving, like in other ways though, where you're watching the disability rights movement form and take shape, and all these laws that we're going to get into in a couple of weeks, when we do get into that stuff, are introduced here too. So it's kind of a good introduction if you're not familiar with those already. It's about a 2-hour documentary, I want to say, and like I cry every time, but it's so good and so informative. So Crip Camp, go watch it if you have access to Netflix.
Right. And for those who don't have access to Netflix, because we're trying to be inclusive here.
Yeah.
I'm not going to encourage you to pirate anything. I'll just say that lightly. I just did a little wink. But also, this is why Discord is so awesome, because there is something that we could do, which is watch it all together. Netflix has a feature where we can go into a room and then I could just put Netflix on and then we can all watch it.
Oh my
Graham
gosh.
actually put a link in the chat to, I'm guessing, Crip Camp. I don't know, but I'm highlighting it right now and putting it in the Discord. Well, let me just open this first and see what this is to make sure. No, Graham is a jokester, so just gotta make sure he's not sending us somewhere wild. Oh, this is the whole thing. Oh my goodness. Yes, this goes definitely in the Discord. So
that's so cool. I'm not surprised you can find it somewhere, because honestly, the folks that put that stuff together are trying to be very inclusive as well.
All right, I'm putting it in resources so that it doesn't get buried, but I'm also going to put it in the general chat, so you can find it both there. But what we could do, and y'all just have to let me know because it's hard to wrangle everyone together. If you're interested in doing streaming and watching it together, just let me know, and then I can pick a time that where the timelines and time zones are so extreme in our group that, like, even when you all told me about when you wanted to do silent study, I got overwhelmed by all the answers because they were in time zones that I didn't even know existed. So I'm just gonna have to pick a time that works for me. And someone just rang my doorbell. Hold on, y'all.
Yeah, well, okay, guys. So you're stuck with just me.
For camping, even though my ride isn't gonna get here till 6 probably, but go ahead, yeah, just come in. I'm almost done. These are my friends that I'm going camping with, y'all.
Hello.
Okay, yeah, so I think it would be fun if we watched it together personally. So if we find like a time, I don't know, we'll figure it out. I'm gonna meet y'all in the Discord and we can talk about when we would want to do this. So let me read some more comments and then we'll get out of here. Okay. Oh, Graham said yes to Crip Camp. That's fantastic. We're going to do a watch party. Rubel said in the UK it's on Netflix as well. Sinotech said this is posted by Netflix themselves. So Netflix themselves put it on there, which means they want us to watch this. Okay, y'all. So that's great.
That's so cool.
Okay. So yeah, I think it would be fun if we watched it together. And that would also give me motivation to just watch it at all. So I'm going to go in the Discord, let y'all know when we can watch it together. And then hopefully that time works for most of us. We'll see. I don't know. But you can also put in the Discord what time works for you. And then I can try to work around that for the people who actually want to watch this together. Okay.
Will we listen to it with the audio description track running?
Oh, yes, we absolutely can.
And closed captioning on, obviously.
Yes. So if we do it, we'll do it with audio description captions for our friends who can't see the screen. This will also be a learning experience for everyone else who's never watched a movie with audio descriptions on. It's a little weird, but like, welcome to the world of weirdness. We're going to just be in it together.
But it's also awesome because after you start listening to things with audio description, you're going to realize, oh my gosh, I can curl up on the couch and turn away from the TV and still watch what I'm watching, or I can cook dinner and watch what I'm watching. Like audio description's cool. We're going to talk about it in universal design too, I feel like.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Graham said, speaking of Discord, when you get a chance, can you finalize a date when I'm on? Yes, Graham. So everything got messed up with the GitHub and like all the dates, because every time we think something's gonna take an hour, it takes 2 hours because we're chatty patties. So sorry. Sinotech said it's literally an audiobook. Sounds like, yeah, it's pretty much an audiobook. It's meant to explain everything on the screen. But
wow.
Graham, everyone at some point this week, I will be updating the GitHub and the dates for everything, because it is kind of confusing. We're like very behind, but we're not really behind. You know, it just is what. Oh, okay. Graham also put in the chat the Netflix version that has audio descriptions.
Nice. And that's also something in settings you can flip on and off.
Okay, I'm also gonna put this in the Discord so that in the resources area, boom. Okay, all right. So I think we're good. I will be updating everything. I will update everyone in the chat on Thursday at 4. Me, Dorlin, and Jamil Sinotech will be here talking about universal design. And we're probably not going to get through the whole thing. I'm guessing we're going to have to do 2 weeks of that just based off of this. But yeah, bye y'all. Thank you, Dorlin, for hanging out. And thank you everyone else for hanging out with us. We'll see you next time.
Awesome.
And then Graham said, not on YouTube, by the way. You can't switch audio descriptions on there. You will have to watch the second link. Okay, yes. So there is 2 links, and the second one is the audio description one.
Oh, those were YouTube links that Netflix provided. Wow.
Yeah, that's interesting, right? I guess they're
cool.
like, please watch this. We must. It's good.
Yes.
Good for the world. Rubel said, thank you both. Thank you for being here, Rubel. Sinotech said, go enjoy your camping trip. I sure will. All right, y'all. It's been real. Appreciate y'all. See y'all on Thursday. Thank you, Dorlin. Bye.
My pleasure. Bye.
Bye, Emma. Bye, Kathy. Bye, Develop. Bye, Akia. Bye, Graham. Bye, Sinotech. All right, I'm out of here, y'all. Bye.